Who's going to speak? You or me?
You can go first, Charles.
Me?
Yes.
Why?
Well, you are the...
Yeah, no, no, don't you dare.
The more mature...
Because I'm old, yes.
The more mature, experienced
Because I'm an
angler.
old person, is what he's saying. He's being ageist here.
Age before beauty.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome to this, is it 20 minutes?
40 minutes, I believe.
Oh, God. Of madness, where we're going to try and catch... I tell you what, JT, that water is absolutely bitter.
It's not warm. It's surprisingly
It's bright.
chilly.
It's the water's cold, and they want us to catch fish. Really?
We'll do what we can.
To try.
We'll do what we can.
All right. That's my introduction. That's my excuse.
Well, we're going to split up. I think Charles is going to make his way around towards the platform.
Yeah.
Just so it's nice and easy for you guys to see. I'm going to make my way a little bit around into this secluded bay over here. Where you can see, you might be able to pick up on camera how shallow it is. There's quite a long way out before you hit the drop off, but it's a great feature for the fish to hug on to. You know, they feel nice and safe in that slightly deeper bit of water. I've set out with a midge tip long, so a 6 foot clear intermediate. Couple of flies on there, so a cactus cat to start with, and then a little bit further down on my point. Got a very kind of nondescript, general
nice.
suggestive kind of nymphy, pin fry, hare's ear. Very successful pattern.
Is this the new Rio one?
This is the In Touch Rio midge tip long. So it's got the non-stretch
really
core.
good, those, aren't they?
It's a really versatile line, having a 6 foot clear tip. So it'll sink at sort of 1.5 to 2 inches a
I've
second.
got line envy. Now.
Line envy. Yeah, 1.5 to 2 inches a second.
I really
for a
wish
6
I
foot
had
tip.
a line like I haven't.
Well, with these flies, I can fish them near the surface by
Yeah.
fishing it almost immediately as soon as it hits the water, or I can let it sink for as long as I like and get down, you know, as much as 5, 6, 7 feet before I start
It's
to retreat.
fascinating because the guys fishing Blagdon at the moment, they're almost all fishing various lengths of tips, and it's almost taken over from the full sinking line thing.
And it is, particularly, you know, you think when you're fishing with sink tip lines or you're fishing with a sunk line and you see a fish move, you think, well, I've got a full sinking line, I can't pick it up and cover it. I still, even, you know, with this line and I see a fish move, I'll pick up and try and guess which way it's going and cover that fish in front.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how easy it is with just the 6 foot tip to pick it up and go again.
And also, JT, you've got the ability, if you put a buoyant fly on that tip, to get that lovely washing line. You can control it.
Yeah, and you want to keep that fly, keep those flies very static. You know, in just the top few feet, you can do that as well. So,
am I right in thinking though it's not a bad idea if you've got a swift action fly rod to go maybe a line size up on the midge tips?
Yeah,
than you would normally do.
It depends on your casting ability.
Yeah.
But we know full well that a lot of people can struggle sometimes loading a rod or getting the feel or the best out of a rod, and just putting that extra bit of weight on there means you're going to more mass in a shorter space. Yeah. You're going to load the rod a little bit quicker, and it should give you better results.
I guess we're a product of being able to see an awful lot of international fly casters, and it's odd that in this country we've always had a habit of overlining our rods, whereas other parts of the world we tend to, they tend to underline them, if anything. It's weird.
I must admit, there's so many good manufacturers out there, and so many amazing rod designers. And if the likes of Jerry Seam or Life Stavmo or Howard or any of these guys say it's a 7-weight rod, for me it's a 7-weight rod. It's not a 6, it's not an 8, it's a 7.
Yeah.
And I tend to stick to that. But if you're struggling with your casting and you just want that little bit of extra help, that's why there's so many lines there which are not a true 7-weight. Yeah. They're a little bit heavier. Yeah. Rather than jumping the full 8-weight where you might slightly overload the rod, it's going to give you a little bit more aid without overloading.
The one thing I've always found, if it feels spongy, don't go there.
Gone too far.
Yeah.
You guys are eating into your fishing time.
Oh God, no, it's called procrastination, is what it is. Right.
We've set the scene.
Yeah, we have.
Right, let's go and see if we can get a fish.
I'm going that way.
I'm going that way.
I'll follow JT first, and then we'll come and run after you when you get a fish.
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit of a weird day as far as the weather goes so far. We've had bright sunshine, but we've had flat, calm conditions, and then in the last hour or so, It's decided it's going to pick up a little bit, and then it's decided that it wants to not stay in any particular one direction, and it has been swinging all over the shop. So 1 minute it's coming into my face, then it's coming off my right shoulder, hence why Charles has gone out and given himself the nice 360-degree view around the platform. But I'm just going to pop myself in over here now. The reason I've gone with these two flies is obviously it's bright, and the fishery's not been back open for all that long, so there's a lot of overwinter fish in the water, and we've had a lot of buzzers, and you can see how clear the water is down below me. This lake is teeming with insect life, which makes it absolutely fantastic for nymph fishing, floating line fishing, buzzer fishing, you know, imitative angling, which the older I get, the more I enjoy that, and the less I enjoy chucking lures. So having one lure on and one nymph, great start, gives me the ability, just as he runs out of line, the ability to cover both my potential fish with a lure as well as catching the overwintered fish. Thank you very much. I have, good start. Good start, don't worry about that. To catch both fish that are, you know, have been in for a while, they're heavy on the nymphs, as well as the fish that have been relatively freshly stocked. So I'm going to cover both. That's where this bit of a wind is just a little bit painful coming in from one side there. That's a bit better. Right. Now ordinarily with the wind coming off my right hand side I would cast to my left, but there happens to be a cameraman there, so now I'm just going to let it sink down a little bit. I'm going to work my way through some of the layers just to see if I can find where the fish are. Now with the wind coming into me here, as you can see with the fly line, if I do nothing it's going to pull that floating part of the fly line towards me, so I'm just going to keep in contact just in case on the drop with those flies something takes it on the way. And when I'm happy that it's gone down to the depth that I want, then I'll start retrieving a little bit. Keeping my rod tip really low to the water. I see a lot of anglers when they're fishing and they have the rod tip up here. Now if a fish takes, even with a non-stretch fly line, that fish has got to take all of that slack out before I feel anything, particularly if I'm not paying attention. If I'm not watching the end of the fly line, then I'm not going to feel that take. I'm just going to turn around and cast the other way. So no such problems going that way. So keeping the rod nice and low means that when a fish takes the fly, I'm immediately going to be in contact with that fish. So I'm just keeping up with the rate at which that fly line is just pushing into me with the wind. And then when I'm happy with it sunk to where I want, then I'll start to retrieve. Now because I've got a nymph on, I don't want to fish it too fast. Oh, Charles is in. I'm not entirely sure, but if not, I'm sure you can take that one to him, Johnny. Well done, Charles.
Whoa! Yeah. Well, it's not a roach, I can tell you that.
Thought you might like one of these.
That's a good idea, because mine at the, I think I'm slightly undergunned with the one in the back of my, Johnny, it's actually, I think, quite big. Oh, hang on, 1 minute. Don't tread on Steve's rod. Soon to be my rod. Oh wow! Oh look! Look at that! Tiggy, we have one of your salmon.
He says he thinks he's got one of your salmon.
This is no match for a 5-weight. This is ridiculous. I need JT's 7.
So, what fly do you think I was taking, Charles?
Quite a good one, you think, Charles?
Yeah, it is a good fish. This is when the adrenaline. Do you know? I've always wondered
Certainly
what
give me
my
a
blood
good
pressure's
scrap.
like at this moment.
What's the technique, Charles? What's the fly?
It was just a
Amazing
little
how well these
damsel
fish
in him.
go in this clear
I
water.
always love a damsel here because it's oh Lord, like, oh, ouch! Did you see that head go? Do you see the line jag? This is where you think the spool will drop off, or something will drop off, or this is why we do it, Johnny. Actually, it's just the adrenaline surge. I think. I mean, you can't explain this to anyone, but when you're connected with something live and electric and feral, it's beyond words. And this is a big fish, man. This is a big fish.
There's a good bend in that stage end.
Yeah. I mean, I can't honestly do anything with it, and I'm used to fighting. You know,
Properly putting a bend in your rod there, Charles.
I can't, you know, I'd like to hurry because I don't like fighting fish long if you're going to put them back. But this is no steelhead trick. I mean, putting your fingers on that rim like so, just
Well,
to.
there's 47 people waiting to see this fish, Charles.
Well,
I'm not hurrying you along. I'm just saying that
there might be 48 disappointed ones if I lose it.
I'm sure they'll all be.
But look, I mean, you can
words
see.
of
I'm
encouragement.
not, you know.
There's some big fish in here, Charles.
Honestly, I daren't rush this now. It's when it suddenly changes direction. You can suddenly feel that change of direction. It's unbelievable.
I assume it's a good fish you've got there,
You can
Charles.
look
'cause
at
it was
the
pulling
reaction on
pretty
that
hard.
rod. It's just bouncing
Just had a
there.
knock
You can
there
feel that
myself.
head, and I hate
There we
that
go.
because it generally means that they're not particularly well hooked.
There we go.
I mean, the technique was just basically
Taking the nymph.
out there count of, I think, a 15 count. So the sunk line got down, and just a very slow figure of 8. No.
JT's hooked into one as well.
Has he got one? He might.
Nice solid thump on that nymph. Took twice actually. Came and just nipped first time.
I think his is coming in a lot easier than mine.
You are making a meal of it, Charles. It better be a big fish.
I can't do anything
If
with
you've
it.
got one to hand, Diggy.
Do you want to take that net down to
Lovely
him? Because
looking
I'm
fish.
still stuck fast
See it
into this
tearing
fish.
away in this clear water.
Another one of the teams on the case. So.
Oh, right, okay. Well, we can at least see the leader. Oh, jeez.
Certainly
Look
do
at the
pull,
size of that.
and they can see
Oh
where they
my
go.
goodness. Oh.
Charles, that's an enormous.
It's a huge fish. It's like a tay salmon, for goodness sake, Johnny. And
See if I can keep the net here for you. You lose the stream.
oh, that's massive.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me.
Is it a bit? Oh wow!
Oh, that's massive. I think I'll just take it in there because I don't know how big that is. I don't want to take it.
Well, I think it's safe to say, Charles, on the size run, you're definitely winning.
This is massive.
Robin Elwes there making a cameo appearance.
He didn't even bother to applaud.
Not that now, Charles. No,
Yeah. Yeah. That's why it took so long. If I could, thank you. If I Thank you.
Shit, it's quite hard. What a prize, Charles.
Oh, look, it's massive. That is very, very big. I don't know how big that is.
I'll let you...
Let's get this out. Come on, old chap.
One hook first, Charles, and then I'll free the net for you.
I think the important thing is just to keep this fish wet. Oh,
Well, what a good start.
I think it's caught round the
Can't
net.
clearly
That's
see
the
the fish
problem.
from here, Charles, but it looks like a bit of a pig.
Come on, old chap. You can't get... You know what I said about the hook falling out? No chance. It's right in that really... Oh, there we go. That's good. I think it's going to
All
kick
of a
out.
sudden, just
So,
like that, a crowd of
Try and
pigs.
get a quick... What a fish.
and that gives you some idea. Now, I'm not going to hold it out for the camera, but that is huge. That is really very big.
What a cracking fish, Charles. Fantastic.
Come on, old girl. Come on.
How big do you think, Charles?
I think about 15 pounds. Come on. Come on. Come on. Why do we talk to fish expecting something to come back?
What a fish.
And the thing about this is, and what people get wrong, you can't just leave them and let them just sit. You've got to nurture them back into...
Goes.
Well done,
Fantastic.
Charles.
Whoa! Can I stop now, please?
That went wild.
Well done! The legend's at it again.
Whoa.
I'll go catch up with JT.
Would you?
Fabulous fish. That's it,
Thought you were
Charles.
milking it for the camera.
That's fantastic.
I'll turn your mic off, Charles.
Brilliant
And then I'll go join JT.
What, before I say something nice to Ian?
Could be, yeah. Fantastic fish there from Charles, absolute monster. So in that time we missed JT catching a fish as well, so we'll just go and catch up with him. Well, JT, I know you got a fish, but you were slightly overshadowed there, I'm afraid.
Just my meagre 3-pounder seems to have just...
I think Charles has just caught the biggest fish in the lake, but absolute monster of a
I
trout.
did see it was a big rainbow, was it?
Oh yeah, well into the teens. Just
Nice.
fantastic.
And there I was, giving him a little bit of stick, saying that he was making a bit of a meal of it. But no, I didn't realise he'd hooked Moby Dick. Well,
So which fly did you take
It
yours on,
took with
JT?
him. so yeah, came and took twice, get a little nip first, and then decided to come back for second and properly locked on. But again, I mean, it was at a fair distance, so that shows that, you know, these beauties of non-stretch lines where you can feel every little knock. And it was just ever such a slightest little touch on the end of the fly before he came back for a second time.
So benefit, I guess, of having that in-touch line that you can feel
Big.
those little...
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of sinking lines in particular, where you've got a non-stretch core, because it just allows you to feel everything. Which is, you know, particularly when you're casting a distance, you feel that slightest little tap. And I remember that the first time I fished with a non-stretch sinking line, I was actually out on a photo shoot on Draycott. And we were trying to catch big browns early season, and we were only probably about a second drift in, full fly line out, long way down, and just ever so slightly just tweaking it back. It was quite a still day, so we were drifting quite slowly. And I turned around to Jeff Press and said, "Sure, just figure of 18 back." I said, "I'm sure I just had a little tap." And of course, you're awake. You know, you've got that little hit of adrenaline. You just think, "Oh, I've just had it. Yep, there's something there, maybe." Whereas once you go, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour without a take, you can sort of lose that edge. And then I felt another take. I said, there was definitely something there. And then it just locked up, and I was about a 6 or 7 pound brownie. It was a fabulous fish. But had I not had those first couple of little taps, which I wouldn't have ordinarily felt at that distance with a stretch fly line, I was just on my toes. So when the fish did finally eat, then I was able to convert and hook up. So yeah, a massive fan of fly lines with non-stretch course for sinking. Not so much for floating line work, because I want a bit of give, particularly from fishing dry fly, and at shorter range as well. Extra bit of stretch in a fly line, for me personally, I prefer them, but I know a lot of people that just love all-round non-stretch fly lines. So Mr. Jardine's back in the water again.
I know, I was going to say, I don't want to put more pressure on you, because he is ahead. If we're taking this competitively, we'll be honest, but he's not happy. He's back out there. He's trying for another one.
But if he gets another one the same size, I'm retiring.
Cracking fish though, JT, and
He's certainly pulling hard.
I mean, what can you tell viewers about the sort of fish that we have in the lake here at Haywards Farm? Because there's a good number of big ones.
There's a good number of big fish. There's a good mixture of fish. I mean, that's rather than just having a fishery where 99.9% of fish are all 2 to 3 pounds, and then there's 6 double-figured fish in. We like to mix it around a bit. So we've got a base stock of sort of 2 to 3 pounds, which is our normal size of fish. But then we mix it up with a lot of fish in the 4 to 9 pound bracket, and then we normally have anywhere in the region of between sort of through 10 to maybe a dozen and a half or more, depending on how often we can get them, of double-figured fish. And we've stocked them in excess of 20 pounds, which is a phenomenal fish anywhere. But in this clear water, you see, they can just disappear as well. We've stocked fish, and you sometimes see them, particularly around the platform where Mr. Jardine is, because the water's clear, you just see this croc swim past. So we know that they're still in here. He goes again.
He's in again, JT.
Oh. I feel like
looks like a 2 or 3 pounder, that one. So I'll stick with you.
Standard stocky, but so there's a good mix, and not just rainbows. Everyone likes to catch a big fish. Anyone that says they don't like to catch a big fish is telling you porkies. Everyone likes catching a big fish. But not just that, we like to put some variety in here. So we've got browns, we've got blues, there's a few tigers in here. There's even 1 or 2 rogue goldies in here. So there's a bit of all sorts for people to have a crack at. And then obviously we've got the other lake, Hobby Lake, which has got a bit of everything, Spartics, tigers. So you've got variety as well as size, which is, it's nice to have a mix. We all love a bit of variety, we all love a bit of different size of fish. Just going to count this one down a little bit further.
I don't know if people can pick this up completely on the camera, but it looks like that in the shallows there. This is, I mean, it's always got good clarity unless we get really freakish summer heat wave weather, and like everywhere. But at the moment, JT, I don't think I've ever seen it this clear. I mean, it's unbelievable.
In the winter, when the weed dies back. It's just early season now, particularly we've got the buzzers hatching off. It's just, if you like fishing floating lines, naturals, it's a fabulous fishery. And I'm not saying that because I work here, I'm saying that because I genuinely appreciate how good a fishery this is.
You can see, JT, it's probably why, I mean, I've seen enormous damsel fly hatches here in the probably late spring, early summer, all through the summer actually, but you can see these healthy weed beds that are all around the margins of the lake, and I suppose that's what sustains all that good insect life.
It does, and I've got a lovely bottom, so you've got caddisfly, you've got bloodworm that lives in amongst the silt, so therefore we've got really good buzzers. It's a lake that gets good pond olives. As well as that, the dragonflies and the damsels. We have a head of coarse fish in here as well. I'm just going to cast over my other shoulder. We have a head of coarse fish as well. So every year we get some good fry bashing as well. Good snails, water boatman, corixa. So there's a good mixture of everything, and of course around here there's also the big crayfish as well. So there's plenty of food for these fish to come in and grow on. And you know, being a decent sized water, quite often fish do overwinter very well, and particularly with the fact that we run catch and release, which for our regulars gives them a chance to come out, whether that be for a day or whether that be for a few hours, and have the sport of catching fish, but not having to fill the freezer up. And our regulars very rarely keep fish. They like to come and put them back, have a good day's sport, and that's what it's all about. Don't necessarily want to kill loads of fish and fill the freezer, because for the guys that catch a lot of fish on catch and kill waters, you get to a point where there's only so many you can put in the freezer, there's only so much pate you can make, there's only so much smoked trout you can do, and your neighbours will get to the point when they see you coming home from a day's fishing and the blinds will go, because they know that you're just about to come and knock on the door and say, would you like some trout? So it's nice to be able to put them back, and they just get bigger and stronger. So we're very fortunate from that point of view. Just to show how this wind has changed completely, it's now coming off my back there, which is not exactly what I was wanting compared to where it was.
But we've got you stuck in this spot here, JT, which it's a popular spot. It's quite close to the actual retail shop here, but I mean there's great spots all around the lake. For people who haven't visited before, and just before we end the stream today, JT, what can you tell us about the size of the lake and sort of fish holding areas?
Well, the lake itself is sort of a little over 11 acres, and it varies throughout the lake. The railway side of the lake is quite a close drop-off, and by what I mean by drop-off is you can see here the water's shallow, and it goes out here for probably about 30-35 feet, and then it suddenly drops off. And those are the fish holding areas where they feel safe, they'll stay in those areas. So from that far bank you're probably only looking around about 10-15 feet at most from where it goes shallow to the drop-off. So you can get away with catching fish very close there where the fish feel safe. The top end, you're 10-15 feet away from the bank, and then you're into deeper water. The bank on the left-hand side there, which is very popular, because normally the wind comes straight down the lake, so as a right-handed caster the wind's coming off your left shoulder. The drop-off there is quite far out, but you can see here, if I had waders on like Charles, I could wade out to probably about knee-deep, thigh-deep quite happily. So the main thing is making sure that you're getting over that drop-off. As long as you're in that deeper water, the fish will feel safe, and quite often you'll see, particularly when there's good hatches going off, you'll see fish rising at a set sort of distance from the bank, and they're just hugging that drop-off. And they'll rise and rise and rise and come up and down winds. So there's fish all over the place. We're very fortunate they don't sit in a specific place. We can have 20 anglers on here and they'll all be catching fish. Not necessarily all as big as Mr. Jardine's fish, but there are a lot of fish in here that size. We're very fortunate. We get very good hard fighting fish here. And as I say, when you've got the added advantage of beautiful clear water like this, they can see where they're going. So they fight hard. So we do recommend at least a minimum of £6, but our regulars are normally using 8 or even £10 tippet in case you hook into a big fish like that. But it's the fact they can see the fly as well. So even with a nymph, they quite often hit it so hard that if you were on too light a tippet, you could easily break off on the take. So
we seem to have a habit, JT, of having ludicrously massive fish caught during live demonstrations. I don't know if you remember last time we did a physical in-person Sportfish show. Young James Penwright went out in the boat to do a half-hour fishing demo with Simon Kidd from Snowby, who we had here yesterday, and also caught a huge 12, 13, 14 pound rainbow.
Mr. Jardine's gone and done exactly the same thing today, so I've been thoroughly outdone by the experienced Mr. Jardine, but no, it's been fantastic. I hope people have learnt a few things. It's not been the easiest of conditions, but we've got a couple of fish on the bank. I hope everyone's enjoyed the weekend. It's been great fun for us, given the circumstances, not to be able to have a proper, full-on physical show. But on behalf of sort of Sportfish and Farlow's, what a fantastic thanks to everybody who's come out to make this weekend happen. I hope you guys have really enjoyed it. So picked up some hints and tips, seen some of the new tackle. It's been enjoyable for us to get a bit of normality after the last sort of 12 months of craziness. So long may it continue. Mr. Jardine
He's
has
back,
been a star.
JT.
Mr. Jardine has been a star as always,
Oh.
and enter stage right. It's just been lovely to see people again. Get out, have a bit of a fish, chew the cud as we do, and hopefully it won't be so long before this can be a proper show again. Dare we say it, the biggest and best show in the country.
Well, you can. It is.
Well, I will say that then, the biggest and best show in the country, and hopefully sometime soon that will be able to happen,
Yeah.
and we can have a proper day here, well, weekend here with all of our customers, all our cherished friends, catch a few fish, have a couple of beers, catch up, and talk fishing and chew the cud.
Which is what we do.
It is what we do. Not often enough, sadly, but
No.
this weekend's given us a chance to do that. And we'd like to thank you all for what's been great time for us, and we hope it's been a great time for you.